Good morning, Jill here. Today I'm going to show you how I made these. I had a viewer request and wanted to see how I made these little safety pin dangles. Um, in the meantime, I've added a couple of things to these that I showed in a prior video. So I thought I would just lay them out here so you could see them, and then we'll take a look at maybe making some of these. I also wanted to show you I'm making a journal, as you know, and for example, I have used this one on this little tag, and I've just hooked it onto a bulb pin. I'm sorry, a ring, and there she will dangle. And look how cute she is, right? Okay, so let's get started. Let's get started crafting. Let's get started first checking in with everyone. I'm checking in. Tell me how you're doing. How's the weather where you are? It's extremely humid here, and so it does affect the crafting when you have high humid weather. Things like your glue, your paints, and so on. So I'm trying to stay cool, and let's get started. I hope you're doing well. Okay, what do I have? I have a lot of things. Now you don't need all these things I have here. But I'll show you quickly. I have my wooden buttons, which I love. I have some stamps because we're going to do a little bit of stamping. I'm just going to hurry through this. I have my safety pins, which you know are the coilless safety pins, so that they do not have the thing on the bottom. Oh, I was splattering today, so you'll see some white paint lingering on my hands. And I also thought, while we're doing these, why don't we look at doing them on paper clip? Now, I don't know why green one's in there, but I have some gold paper clips I thought I might use. These are not extremely large, but I thought I might do a couple on paper clips, so we'll pull a couple of those out, and then we can put that box away. We'll pull a couple safety pins out. Oh, here we go. This is the difference between a coilless pin and a regular safety pin, as you can see here. And if you look with this coil on the end, you lose a bit of space, maybe 1/8 of an inch or so. So I like the coilless. So we can set these two little boxes out of the way. What else are we going to need? We're going to need, like I said, we have my buttons. Those are going to stay put. We're going to do some stamping, and we'll do that early on. I have my little rice bag of scraps. There are a couple projects that are exceptionally suited to using up your scraps. This is mostly lace and some of my little stamped fabric here. So maybe we'll use some of those. I have my sewing kit, which I'm not going to do too much sewing. I have my little papa bowl of lace, my mama bowl of snippets, and we need scraps. So I have another basket. It's a little too big to show you, but it is just full of scraps. I'll just show you the top of it. It's got full of scraps in here. So we will be using some of those. Okay, so normally when I'm making these, I do not do everything in one step. And what do I mean by that? I mean, I don't do the stamping, do the stitching, do the assembly all in one step. I might do a day of creating stamped cloths, and that's what gave me these little things here that I have in my stash. Let me grab those. That's what gave me these. I sat one day and I pulled out scraps of linen, and I thought I'm just going to go ahead and do some stamping on these. I think these are all black and a little bit of red. And you can certainly use these, but I thought I'd just show you that. But I do them in one sitting, and then I have a little batch of them that I can pull from, right? So that works out really well. But for today, I thought we would use some cute little floral, botanical stamps. So I also have some thread. What do I want to use to stamp on? Oh, you know what? This is just some material I had left from working on my wonky birds. My wonky birds rice bag. So let's just use these today, and let's start with some stamping. Just a white background, that's fine. I can tea dye them later, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to be using archival ink. I'm going to be using, and why do I use this archival ink? Because, and I liked my green one I had. I'm going to use archival ink by Ranger. And I like it because it's permanent. Let's see how this one shows up on my material. Since we're using white, it should be okay. And where and how you stamp it is on your material. Just leave enough space that you can cut around it, and there you have it. And that came out pretty, didn't it? Let's do another one like that. Can I? Yeah, I can fit it on there. Let's do another one like that. We'll just ink this up, and we'll run through this inking and get on to the assembly in a minute. Okay. I will clean these after. The other color I like to use, I use black a lot, as you saw in those samples I showed you, but I like to use the coffee color because it's not as stark as the black, and it comes off, well, a little less stark. It comes off more subtle and softer. Of course, the green is the softest of all. And I will tell you another thing. These little stamps are okay, but use what you have. Now, I have some Ranger stamps that are really pretty. Now, this stamped nicely, except I don't like these edges. But remember, we're going to cut these off, so it doesn't matter. We can have that. Let's do this one. We'll make one of each so we can see what we like the best. Not that we'll use them all. I'm stamping within the grain of the material, and this is just cotton. That one came out nice. Now see, these are a bit different. And we'll do the next one in black archival ink, just so you can see the difference, and I'll show you the difference here. Just 1 minute. Guys, if I get hung up because my I can't craft with these nails on, I have a special event on Tuesday and Thursday this week coming up, so I had my nails done and now I can't craft. Okay, and there's the black, and of course it came out beautifully. So we'll cut those when we get ready. So we'll set those aside, put my inks away. Okay, so now we have enough to make a few little clusters. Oops. Sorry, I bumped for bumping the camera. Next, let's look at what we're going to use for some of the backing material. And what's the backing material? Well, the backing is like this piece here that's a little bit sturdy, or this piece here. Now, I got a lot of compliments on this textured back, so I think I'm going to grab that. Give me 1 minute. Here's a piece. And this is probably enough for 2 of them. As a matter of fact, let's cut this. We're going to do 2 of these, and I kind of like the long ones, so we'll make some long ones today. And this will be helpful with these as we put them on. Okay, then we want maybe some linen on top of those. You know what's funny? I'm filming and I keep moving my stuff aside so it goes out of the camera range. Okay, I have to put that. Maybe I'll put it this way. Okay. Just tear that, and I think I'm going to cut. You may not be able to see, but this is perforated here because it was the edge of a hemline on something, and I don't want that to show, so I'm tearing that off. But look at that. That's a nice piece of scrap. We're keeping that. We'll use that for something else. Let's pull these off. Oh, me. Whoops. Bear with me a minute. And I don't want this video to be forever long, but I thought if somebody wants to see how to do them, start from scratch. And another thing, like I said about the stamping, I would do that in one session. And I also might get some scraps ready in one session instead of doing them, you know, all at one time here while you're watching me. In other words, you know, it's kind of, it's not hard. It's just, let's use a piece of this. And I'm going to cut this. We'll make one a safety pin, and we'll make one a safety pin, and we'll make one a paper clip. How's that? Cool. And we'll just use a little piece of this. Now for embroidery and stitching, I'm probably not going to do that on screen. You could do that off screen. But like I did on this one here, I used one of these little wooden stamps I had, stamped the image, and then I went back and I embroidered on top of that, that image. So it would be like taking one of these that we just stamped and then embroidering it. So I had stamped it in black and embroidered in the green, and I thought it came out really cute. Okay, so there's that and that. The other thing I really like is I like some of that ticking fabric. Not sure I have any handy, and I'd like to keep this stuff kind of neutral colors, right? Neutral colors today. We'll use that on one of them. Pull out, where's my favorite fabric? Oh, let's see. You might as well watch me dig through this, because that's what I do. Dig through my scraps. And I have a bit of everything in here. Oh, that's a nice piece of linen material. I'm going to pull those out. Those can go in. I think I'm going to have to make myself a new scrap basket of what, Jill? Of materials to, oh, I could use this instead of brown for ticking. Look at that. Okay, we're going to use some of that. Let me get that out of here. And then I think, oh, here's some ticking. Love, love, love this ticking. Use some of that. Let's cut a piece of this. Now with this, yeah, and maybe we use a smaller piece. I don't know. This is the process I go through when I make these. So if you wondered how I make them, I talk to myself a lot, and I just cut up little pieces, and no two are alike because I make them all different. Now all of these are looking about the same width. What if I cut this, set this aside, and do we want any colorful? I have some, I made a, oh, I love that. I love that. Look at that, how scrappy that looks. That's a wonderful piece. We're going to use that somewhere for sure. Okay. And this, I really kind of wanted to use a piece of this. Maybe we'll do this more squarish. Yeah. I think I could tear this. I'll do it a little more squarish. We have rectangles there. We'll use some squares. And I will put that back in there. And the other thing we want is maybe a couple pieces of little lace for background. On the background, we'll put a little piece of that there. A little piece of this toil just there. You can scrunch that up or whatever. Okay. And do I want anything else? Oh, I don't think so right now. Okay, so if you're not a stitcher, let me show you. You can just glue these together, right? And you want to make sure that they're going to fit over the pin. So I want my pins to be like this so I can hook them on a piece of fabric when I'm done. Okay. And we didn't get out our, oh, maybe the black one would look nicer than this. Let's do this. I don't know how good this material isn't ripping really good. I'm going to cut it. Okay, let's do this again. And these don't have to be perfect by any means. You know, crafting isn't perfect, and the scrappier the better, especially on these little ephemera pieces you make to put in your journal. There's no reason they don't have to be perfect. Don't get me wrong, I mean, I like perfect. I love perfect, but nothing I make is perfect, so I don't want to get hung up on that. It's a whole nother story. Okay, so I love perfect, and sometimes I wonder, how did they do that? It's so perfect. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because I don't do perfect. And I love what they make, and I love their skill at making them look so perfect, and all of that is so, I'm going to put, yeah. And this is probably the painful part for you to watch, is how am I going to put these together? I don't know. I think this one's too wide. Let's just make this narrower. And you could see that, oh, good job, Jill. Good job. You can see how this uses up scraps, and it uses up your scraps, but you only need little pieces. So if your scrap pile isn't huge, don't worry about it. That's okay. That's really okay. Let's put another piece of texture there. Where's I love this color. Let's put that there. And I don't know, should we fray some of this? We probably should. This probably wasn't a great material to put on, because it looks like it's not. Oh, maybe it'll fray some. I could messy cross stitch there too. Remember, that's always a fun thing to do, is messy cross stitch. Let me get the one where I did that. Here, like this one. I just did a messy cross stitch on that material. Okay. But I think I'm going to cut this up. I don't like this. Actually, after I did this, I don't like this white material, but I think this stamp is really pretty. So I'm going to cut it off. I'm cutting over here, sorry. I'm reaching across here, but I'm cutting. But I'm cutting. Okay, that can go on there. And then, do I want to use this little piece of brown ticking? I kind of do. That one's going that way. Maybe this one should go this way. Maybe this should just peek out from behind. Let's try that. And okay, that doesn't have to be messy. Let's leave that like that. Put this one, give that stripe some botanical there. Let's put this, can peek out. And then maybe a piece of this could go up and down. Here. Okay, let me see what I have for a pin, and I will pin those together. Okay. Now you could take a picture of it. That's fine too. Take a picture, you know. And we'll find a button to go there and maybe something to go here. Let me just look for a little button. What do we have here? Oh, we have this button. I love these little buttons. That's a little big, but see? And all of a sudden, you put some buttons on and your little piece just comes to life. Look at that. There we go. See, what else do we have for a tiny button? Maybe this one. It's tiny enough. Yeah. Now, if I have two buttons, I have to have a third button. Can you see me trying to search through these buttons? Not that it's something's exciting to watch, but you know, that's a cute button. Maybe I'll turn it this way. Okay, let's just, maybe this should go on top of that. I don't think so. When I stitch it, I'm going to put that, I think, on top of there. Okay. So that's one cluster. Now we're just going to let that sit for a minute. It's going to be on a pin. Let's go to our second set of scraps and see what we can do with this. This one will go on a paper clip. How's that? So I'm going to start with some background material instead of my texture. I'm going to fray some of this and take some of this off. Now this is stiff, so those little these things don't fray like they fray kind of symmetrically. That's what I'm trying to say. And and sometimes when you do clusters, I mean, you just, for me, once I start, I have to, I get warmed up, like, and they get better and better the more I do. Now I kind of like that that's behind there, so I'm going to do that. And then, shall we do buttons on this one too? Because I have them out. What else did I have? Oh, I had done some beading. This one's going on this one. And on this one, I used a bulb clip and some little charms here. You can see. So let's do, I like the buttons. I love these wooden buttons. A lot of them are too big for, I have some little ones in here. Oh, here's another one. No, it's different. Okay. What about that little button? What about, I love that button. That's a little button. So my box of goodies here does have some cute buttons, but some cute little buttons. Let me see this one down in here. That middle one might be too dark. I kind of like these. Look how little that is. Yes, I stitched them on by hand. Here's another wooden one. See what this looks like. Well, they're all wooden. They're all wood buttons. I think I want it to have a little bit of character. A button with character, Jill? What are you talking about? Well, I want to have a little bit of pretty something, something there. There we go. Okay. Oh, I forgot something stamped. Okay, are we going to use a brown? Oh, I'm going to use that one. First thing I'm going to do is cut all this. Remember this one? We had the edge of the stamp got inked up. Those wooden, I don't use too many wooden stamps in my crafting unless I know that I can get rid of the, and I'm going to put that underneath there like so. So those are my things, and this is going to go on a safety pin. So bear with me 1 minute and I will be right back once they get put together. Hold on. Hello, so I'm back, and as you can see, I've done a little work on these that we had laid out just a little earlier, and I added the buttons, and on this one I did crosshatch on the sewing them on. I did messy cross stitch here, and I put a few little beads on those flowers. Can you see them? So this is what we have to this point on this one. And on the back, you can see all my messy stitching and so on. And that's all right because we're gonna cover that up. On this one, I did a little stitching. I did a little overcast stitch there, a little, oh gosh, don't ask me the name of these stitches, you know, because I forget them. But I just do what I feel like. So if I feel like doing a cross stitch, if I do feel like doing an overcast stitch or a running stitch, that's what I do. And on these buttons, you can see I did a crosshatch on this one. I did parallel on this one. And in this one, I did there's probably a name for it, but I did the square. I thought it added a little bit of interest, just a little bit of interest on that one. And this one has some work I want to do on it yet. So, and this is the back of this one. The stitching doesn't really show up terribly, but it's still there, and I don't want those ends to show, so we're going to fix that up. And I think on both of these, that's the first step we're going to do. Then we're going to attach them to our items there and see how they come out all finished. So let me get just a paper towel here, because I am just going to glue the backs on. I'm not going to stitch them. Now, I did do, and you don't have to do this, I did invisible stitch just to tack my things down so I could handle them better and do my other little bit of embroidery and beads and such. But you don't have to do that. You can, actually you can even glue it, which is where we're going to go next with this. So let me start with this one. We're going to use this piece of material. It is the same white cloth that I actually put on the back to begin with, right? I might just take a pinch of that off. Let me reach around for my scissors here. I didn't worry if the strands were long on the back, knowing I was going to cover them up, but I don't want them too long. So, okay, there we go. And I'm using a white paper towel, so I don't know how much you're going to be able to see. But I am going to use glue stick on these. These are just decorative in your journal. Ooh, that's a big blob of glue stick. And now I'm going to put it down on this piece, but I'm going to strategically place that down so that this edge you can see the frayed edge on the ticking behind. You can see the frayed edge on the background piece, but on this side you see that rough texture of that material we used there. So let me trim this off and let's take a look at this. Aw, so cute. These are so cute. And you can see on the back I've just glued it down, and when it's dry, it will dry, dry clear, so you're not going to see, it's not going to bleed through. You can see a little bit through there, but do you care about that if it's hanging in a journal? I can't say that I really do. And in a minute we're going to put the pins on. So let's do this one over here. I have a couple things with this one. So first of all, I try to decide, where do I want to put it? Do I want it to add another level of collage, if you will, on the back, or do I want it totally covering the back? And how am I going to attach it to the paper clip later? Those are questions I'd like to answer. Let's look at the back of this. So if we put it here, this is going to show. I could cut a bigger piece, but I'm going to use what I have. All right. Well, we're going to we're just going to do that. We're going to put it right in the middle of the back of this. I'm going to glue on this time. Hopefully by smearing this around, these blobs of glue will go into those little nooks and crannies and help spread it out a little bit. Okay. And we're going to put this piece down right about there. Let's take a look on the front. Oops. Oops. Let's do it this way. I've got sticky fingers now. Sticky fingers, guys. And I'm going to, before it dries, just get it placed where you want it. Press. I'm going to pull that one little strand of something out. And that's good to make birds' nests on your other crafting things. So there's that one. Let's get another piece for the bird, the little birdie nest. Okay. Now on this one, I'm going to tell you right off, I thought I was going to dangle something from here or put some charms on there, but I'm not. And I don't really like that hanging down there. You can see it looks odd. So, but I do love this rough edge of the ticking, that frayed edge. I'm going to go underneath the frayed part and just trim off that little nubbin of fabric there, and then that's going to hang down kind of irregular. And let me just check on the back and be sure I got stuff off of here. Okay, now that will dry. Yes, and I think that's real cute. It's rather irregular. Did I tell you earlier that I was doing splatters and that's why I got paint all over my hands? Okay. I think I did. Okay, now I'm going to do a very simple attach to the safety pin for this one. This one's going on with a safety pin. So I have to leave this side of the pin so I can stick it through the book or through the page or through the tag. You know, if I'm going to attach it to something, I have to be able to use the pin to slide it through. So in order to do that, really, this needs to attach to this side of the safety pin. And you can do that while you're working on these, but I find it easier to put them on after. Now my glue isn't quite dry, so bear with me if I have a little bit of difficulty getting it to sit right. So how do I do that? Well, I start by putting my pin through this side. That pin looks funny, doesn't it? Let's do it anyway. Now let's look at this. Do I want my pin to show much? No, I don't think I do. So I'm going to start my pin through this back side. Doesn't have to be perfect. You're just sticking it through there. So now you see that it's through there. But it really has to be, as I said, on the other side. And that's where these coilless pins come into play. Okay, all done. Slide it around. Da-da-da. Stick it on your journal. How cute is that? Buttons, beads, and little messy cross stitch. And there we go, on a safety pin. How easy was that? Okay, let's set that aside. We're going to do the paper clip now. How are we going to hook that onto a paper clip? Now, when you put a paper clip in your journal or on a page, you generally put the clips in. Let me grab something over here. Come on, Jill, just a tag, anything. Oh, you know, I get so picky when I pick. Okay, so you generally going to put a paper clip on like that, right? So you want whatever you're attaching to be on this side of the paper clip. You want it on that long edge. Okay, so now we know where we're going to put it. And what are we going to use? Well, I'm going to dig back into another little box I have here. I'm going to set this one aside. And I think I want to attach this one with some, maybe some twine. That looks a little thick. Oh, I have a nice piece of leather here. Oh, too dark. I don't like that. But I have, oh, maybe this will work. I have this. Now, is that a nice, yes, that's a nice compromise, and actually I like it. Where does that come from? Get a load of this, guys. You know, use what you have. Isn't that what we always say? So I had this piece of twine trim, and I thought, well, what can I do with that? I need some pieces of this, and this was for a different project, but this is the piece I had left, and that's where I pulled these off of. But if you look, this twine ribbon, it's just braided. Let me pull that. It's just braided. So I took the braiding apart, and I ended up with pieces like this long, or as long as you cut. Like I cut this piece this long, so that's how long those are going to be. You see that? And I just pull it apart. And then I have all these little things for tag threads and so, whatnot, without buying an extra something to stick in my craft room that takes up space and costs money. And I've already paid for, or I either paid for this this trim, or it's unlikely that I paid for it. I probably pulled it off of something. But it works both, it works for different purposes. So love that. Okay, so how do we want to attach this? I could do just some holes, put it through. Maybe I would do that, and then we'd have some little dangly things out there. I wonder if I could punch a hole through here that I could get this through. Or I could use brads. That would be really cute. Do I have brads that would work? I do have brads. But I don't know that I want to use those. So what I was thinking of using to make my hole, but you know what? I'm not sure that's going to work. Could I stitch it? Let me think just a minute. Okay, so I decided to use my Japanese hole punch, and I wasn't sure it was going to go through the fabric, but it did. So why did I do that? Because I decided I really wanted to thread these through here and then tie them onto there. So there's all different ways to attach these things. We know that, right? So now all we have to do is get it to go through our fabric. There's one. Let's see if we can get this one through. Wow. If this works, this would be, and I think I'm going to need my pokey tool for this one. Although I should use my other pokey tool. Yep. Hold on one second while I find the one without a sharp. Okay. This isn't really a pokey tool. You know what this is. This is to do transfers, and you rub it on there, but it has a ball point tip on the end, so I use what I have and try to get that through that hole. You know what? It's a very, I may end up only going through one layer of fabric on this one. Oh, I know what I'll do. Okay, let's see if we can get it in there. If we can't, I'll just thread it up on a needle and stick it in there in a minute. So, hold on. Okay, so I think I got that one through there, and it is still so that it would attach. Nice, okay. So, I think I'm just going to tie these onto the paper clip. I think I would like that. Yeah, they'd look a little scrappy, wouldn't they? And I think I'm going to like it. And they would slide around, and it would be easy to take off the paper clip. So lots of ways to attach these. Remember, we want it on this long side that's away from this clip, this edge here. And I say that only because it's the easy place to put it. It's not going to immediately fall off, and so there you have it. So let me try and tie this in a little knot here on this end. So that now, should I tie this? Everything's a decision when you're crafting, and sometimes it's just, oh, Jill just put it together. But I have a couple of thoughts on this knot. I could knot it at the end, or I could knot it closer to the paper clip. Why do I care? Because maybe I want the paper clip to dangle, or the fabric part of the paper clip attachment to dangle. There we go. You know, folks. Okay, see there? But I think I want it close to the paper clip. If I can just squeeze it down there toward the paper clip, then I'd have these two cute little ends, right? These cute little furry ends, and I could fray these. How cute would that be? So I can cut that off and fray those. Yeah, and that will stay on there. Okay, let's do this end. I think I'm gonna really like it. Okay, let's do this end. Give me 1 second. I'll get this one put through there. And we'll get this tied up. Then we'll see if we want to cut them and fray them. Okay, so now we've got these on here, hooked onto the paper clip. Look how cute that is. And I think I'm going to trim those just a pinch. And then I think I'm going to fray them. Yep, I think I'm going to fray them. Let's put these pieces away. How cute is that going to be? You don't have to fray them. I just think they might look cute frayed. So I use my pokey tool. And since this is a twine that comes apart pretty easy, it's easy to unravel and make kind of fluffy. Fluffy. Ooh, something caught my eye. While doing these, I've had so many ideas. I started to drift off and start doing some of my other ideas, and I found, I'm such a squirrel, and I got to remember that if somebody's here watching me, that's different. I can go, hey, I'm going to jump over here and do this for a minute. This is really cute. Or I have this other project going on, and I think this would be really cute on this other project, so give me a minute. You can do that, but when I'm showing you guys something, I can't really be doing that. So I think, how cute is that? Now look, it's a little bit scrappy. It's a little bit, so cute. So let's bring these back in, then we'll look at the two we did today. You remember all of these little lovelies that we made before. And I thank the subscriber very much for asking her question on how did I put these together, because without that question, I wouldn't have ended up with these two little lovelies. And I do like the paper clip one as well. And let me see if I have a paper. Hold on 1 second. I think I have a craft color paper here. A little pocket. Hold on. That we can show this on. Okay, I have this little embossed, and there's our paper clip, and you pull it on there. Aw, she's so cute. Look how cute. And there you go. And of course, with the pin, you simply run that pin through the paper, and there goes that one. So that is my video on making these cute little safety pins, paper clip, putting them together, little scrappy little buttons. And I hope that you like it. I hope you learned something. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put a note in the box below this video, and I'll be happy to try and answer it for you. If you have any suggestions on what to try next, I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, I hope you have a great day. Do something you love, and until the next time.